Mahagani.
We are standing on the land of royalty.
Bloodshed, battles, बहादुरी की अनगिनत कहानियाँ.
First time on the y-axis, we have a Maharaja from a royal family.
He's young, he's progressive, and he's about to rewrite the story of this entire city.
Obviously, when you're retaining your culture, for that you have to charge a fee.
Recently, like a big amount of 280 crores has been given to Bundi.
Though Udaipur is called a city of lakes, but there are around 5 to 6 lakes in the city. She actually said to that noble, okay, you want a remembrance? She cut her head and she gave.
My God.
If your husband dies, you won't go in your son's barat. Like, is that a custom?
I think you're mistaken in this.
Connected to the Holkar family.
No, actually, she's my bua. Ranthambore Fort was under Bundi. Ranthambore Fort was given to Mughals during the time of Akbar. The women were actually being, forcefully dragged into Meena Bazaar.
If your son doesn't want to carry forward the legacy, what will you say?
We were allowed to carry our weapons to the Diwanik house. No other ruler was allowed that.
Have you ever faced financial crisis in life?
No. Good question. My wife, whenever she used to come in public, even though in front of my own parents, she would have a Ghoonghat.
राजस्थान मतलब राजाओं का गढ़. यहाँ वंश दर वंश, पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी लोग राजघराने में पले हैं. इसी पे सर मेरा यही सवाल था कि what does it actually mean to be born in a royal family in today's democracy?
Though my particular generation, we haven't seen that kind of the time what was there before independence. But I definitely understand by whatever stories and whatever incidences I have heard by my parents or by my grandparents as well, and which actually gives me a zeal to carry forward the same kind of traditions and the same kind of things even in today's modern world. I can completely understand it is from the fundamental part. It's not the same, because it's the government rule, but especially when it comes to the native town or the native city, the people, regardless to their age, they have a special connection with the royal house.
Absolutely.
Irrespective you're into politics or you're not, because the kind of love and affection the royal houses in the entire nation has given to the local people, it's very rare, and you cannot compare it with anything else, and which actually helps me to get connected with the local people as well.
That is what actually intrigued me the most also, कि अगर आप आँख बंद करें और आप वो feeling एक बार महसूस कर सकते हैं कि when people actually, there are, I think in Rajasthan it's very prevalent कि people bow down to the royal family as well. People actually come with a lot of hope, with a lot of questions and problems to be solved. वो feeling आपको, is it a very out of body experience for you, या फिर ये सब अब normal लग चुका है?
See, actually, I'll tell you to be very frank, bowing down and joining hands, it's more of a culture, and it is just not in the Rajput culture. It's in the Sanatan dharma. The Namaste, or in our language, if you call Khamagani, or greeting somebody who's elder. So it's more of a culture. But then if a person, regardless of his age, he's bowing down in front of me and greeting me, which actually gives me a more kind of a responsibility on my shoulders that I am liable, I am responsible for this person, just not for his happiness but his satisfaction also. and with whatever thing I can do, a kind of a connection between a common person residing in Bundi, if he comes down with his problem or something like that, if I can do something by talking to any government official also, which actually gives a kind of a passage.
Right.
So, if it's more of a shortcut, I would say, so that, I can just help that person, and I try my level best to do that.
Do you have like days assigned कि इस दिन मैं actually problem सुनूंगा या
नहीं,
फिर कितने लोग आते हैं एक दिन में आपके पास?
So it's not like any day or something which is assigned. Most of the time I'm here residing in Bundi. So any person who just drops in, my security guard, he'll just let me know if I'm available. I'll just go and meet that person directly, and whatever best I can do for him, I would definitely do that, of course.
Rajasthan in general is considered to be thoda sa orthodox, but there are, as we were talking about culture and everything, is there some part of culture which should be retained?
I would say majority of the culture is being retained, and some of the things which, for whatever reasons, were discontinued also, irrespective, just not in Rajasthan, in the entire country. The government, even there's a lot of NGOs, they're engaging in preserving the rich heritage culture of the entire country. So even the royal houses, the royal families, they are trying their level best. A lot of festivals, the way they were being celebrated like post-independence, now with regards to promoting tourism in that particular city, the privately and with regards to government, people have really started taking initiatives, and they're doing pretty well in those sectors.
But like, does commercialization of legacy businesses, does it help or does it make things extremely प्रॉफिट ड्रिवन, या फिर ऐसे होता है कि मतलब अगर आप हेरिटेज होटल्स बनाते हैं, ये सब होता है, तो प्रिजर्व कर पाते हैं, या इट्स एक्चुअली जस्ट देन बिकम समथिंग विच इज़ अ मोर सेलेबल प्रोपोजिशन फॉर पीपल?
See, actually, I would say, if you've heard about the gentleman, late Maharao Singh ji, he was ex-chief minister of Rajasthan. During, if I'm not wrong, during his time, there was a special grant which was given to a lot of people who were retaining these heritage properties, to convert them, to market their properties into heritage hotels. So they had to get those properties registered as heritage hotels, and the government gave a grant to start with 1 or 2 rooms, 10 rooms or whatever, respective to the person. And I would say then a lot of private companies also came in with regards to, you have examples like Taj, Oberoi, and now a lot of international brands like Marriott, Hilton and all. So obviously retaining and conservation of heritage properties, just not with regards to hotels, but nowadays destination marriages
100%.
is a big market. So it's both ways. You basically sustaining as well and preserving as well. So I would say the moment you preserve your heritage, any heritage building, convert it into a hotel, or a big palace can be converted into a museum, you are retaining your culture. And then obviously when you're retaining your culture, for that you have to charge a fee.
100%.
For the hotel, you're charging the room tariff, or in the museum you're charging the entry fee, which is again giving back to the property, because obviously if you need to maintain that kind of a big property as well, you require a lot of money. And so tourism is a big industry, which is actually, I feel, a boon for especially families like us. And I would say, like Rajasthan, if you consider the tourism industry, if I'm not wrong, it's somewhere around 20 to 25% of the economy is just because of tourism.
Making tourism like the main part of main source of revenue for Bundi? Is that also your ambition? Because now recently, congratulations on that, but like a big amount of 280 crores has been given to Bundi for like a better transport, better connectivity, in fact heritage, and preserving the heritage more importantly. Bundi fort bhi hai. So what are your upcoming plans with the city?
See, Bundi, I would say, has always been very well connected. If you see Jaipur, one side if you see Ranthambore, the other side you see Udaipur, and the fourth side you see the connection towards Madhya Pradesh. We are very fortunate enough that the Member of Parliament, the seat, is Kota and Bundi the same.
Bilkul.
And the gentleman sitting on that seat, he is also the Speaker for Lok Sabha. So obviously, that kind of a stature when a Member of Parliament has, they do get a lot of grants and the packages what they can put in their political scenario, their jurisdiction. And I personally am thankful that the tourism industry has been given that kind of a grant, and in future is quite bright in Bundi, because I particularly, as what I have seen in past so many years, see now we have a tiger reserve over here, and I think I wouldn't say the entire Rajasthan, but Hadoti is, and Bundi especially in Hadoti, is a kind of a place where you have nature as well as monuments as well as wildlife. You'll be surprised when a lot of my friends, they see some of these reels and photographs of waterfalls. Within the span of 50 kilometers around Bundi, you have somewhere around 5 to 6 waterfalls over here. Though Udaipur is called as city of lakes, but there are around 5 to 6 lakes in the city, in Bundi itself. So I would say the future is quite bright, and the people are slowly understanding the importance of tourism as well. I don't know how, if you got a chance to visit the old city, but there was a time in Bundi when, you wouldn't have a packed mineral water bottle also available before tourism came in. So, Bundi has seen a drastic change, which somebody sitting outside the city might not actually understand.
What will you suggest a person like us who's come to Bundi for the first time, because you are so much involved in tourism and everything? Like, where should we go? And
Of course, the first thing we should visit is the palace. And the most iconic part, you see, a lot of people, they would think that every place where we go in Rajasthan or across India, forts and palaces you will find. The kind of architecture this palace has is very different. It's more dominantly a Rajput architecture, which is very rare in other forts and palaces. People who understand architecture would actually, understand the importance of this. Secondly, the kind of frescoes we have, the wall paintings. Back in those days, a gold color was just not a color, it was actually liquefied gold.
Right.
So the kind of frescoes we have from the 15th, 16th century. And when I talk about fresco, it's just not on the wall, it's on the ceiling as well. So, and very different kind of Chinese, Indo-Chinese kind of frescoes also. So it is just not the Bundi school of art. If you're not aware, Bundi also had its school of art. Like in Rajasthan, like Jaipur Shekhawati school of art is there, the Kishangarh school of art is there. Like Bundi school of art was a special school of art where these kind of frescoes, these kind of paintings, the miniature art, it's a Bundi school of art. So these things are to be presented to the world, and that's how it makes Bundi more unique. As I had mentioned, the city of lakes, you can actually say Bundi is the city of stepwells.
Yes.
yes.
Within the city, around 55 or 56 stepwells, just within the city. I'm not talking about the entire district. So the government is taking initiative, but as you are there, I would insist the local people and any of the NGOs also, if they come down and they can promote these kind of things to awareness.
Yes.
You spent 15 years in Indore and Delhi College. Your
Yeah.
schooling was there, and then you went to England and Canada. So, how much time did it take you to have a good grasp over this place in Bundi? Because most of the time you stay outside and
I
you come
don't-
over here.
I personally don't feel that somebody has to take time to get connected to his own house or to his own people or to his own culture and even to his own language. A lot of people, they have a mindset that when you go to a bigger city or a western cultural kind of a school, those international schools, you tend to disconnect with your roots. But that is the time when your basic cultural background, your knowledge, your parents, how they have taught you, what they have given you, things when you were a kid. And I believe I was fortunate enough that my parents and the school and my aunt, like initial days I used to stay at her house in Indore, because I went to the boarding school when I was in grade 5th. So those initial kindergarten years and from grade 1 until grade 4th, I used to stay with my aunt. So
Were you
she
also
was-
connected to the Holkar family?
No, actually, she's my bua and my father's elder sister.
Oh.
So her side of the family, the in-law side of the family, they're based in Indore, and so that's why how my initial years of education were at her house.
Sir, have you always been this poised, or you also had this factor of rebellion? Because I think हर next generation में होता है कि कुछ तो मैं question करूँगा जो tradition चलता आ रहा है. So have there been things that you have questioned, have had conversations with?
See, I think for that you should either get in touch with either of my teacher or my parents. But my general idea of development and like, I think this rebel or something is something which has just come up in past 10-15 years. I guess when I was a kid, if you're rebellious, either you get shunting or a punishment or something. So in those days, I'm talking about like early 90s, being rebellious or something, I don't think so was in the dictionary. And even if it was, I think it was never in my dictionary.
I was having conversation with your staff members and मैंने ना ऐसे ही थोड़ा मस्ती के लिए पूछा कि सर के ऐसे शौक क्या है, मतलब कुछ तो होगा, एक रॉयल फैमिली, नॉट एवरीथिंग कैन बी गुड. सो they said कि actually कुछ नहीं है, मतलब he lives a very simple life, he has a simple way of things to go about. So I mean, where did that come from specifically? Because I know legacy families and royal families in general, there has been this thing of pomp and show, थोड़ा सा ostentatious चीज़ें.
I guess again your education comes in. I personally, I give a big credit to my school for that. And again, when it comes to family, I've always, like, I wasn't that young, but then I have fond memories of my grandfather. A person who has seen that era post-independence, and later on, he also got into politics, and he was twice an MLA as well. And the kind of feedback what I get from people now about him, like how he was very caring towards people, a very simple person, irrespective what the background he was, he would go and talk, and the kind of
Very accessible. Yeah.
the gap between
It wasn't
a
there.
common man and a person sitting in that kind of a chair shouldn't be there, because those times and those days have really changed now.
And also to realize that they have made you, and that
Of
thing.
course.
Yeah.
And the same time they have made you, and at the same time, you have to even understand when I go to any public meeting or anybody's wedding or something like that, the kind of reciprocation I get, the kind of affection I get, at the same time I also have to take an initiative to go there.
Right.
If I do not connect with people, that one-sided effect can never sustain, right?
I also used to hear a lot of stories, मतलब royal palaces की from my grandfather. And so आपने भी सुनी ही होगी. I used to hear this one particular story जो मुझे vividly याद है कि पन्ना भाई की story थी. She was this daima of this Udaipur, and when war broke out, she just kept her son instead of Uday Singh and took her, so that Vansh bacha rahe. So have you also heard these kind of stories, and do you have this devotion? The staff members have devotion towards the royal family. या फिर ऐसा कुछ story which you have?
See, first I'll just make you understand what that term dhai is. I don't know if you understand that now. So this is a community, especially in some in Gujars also, and in these royal houses, what used to happen that any mishap took place, supposing, and there's a young kid and he lost his mother. So that particular lady was, even though and obviously she has to be a mother, because that's how that process takes place of a woman, that even if gotten chance, she would actually do the milking process also for that young kid. So that kind of an affection of a lady with that
Almost
kid
becomes a mother. Yeah.
will develop. And there are two relations. One is a relation where you are sent from above, that you are a mother of this kid, and one relation you develop it by yourself. That's how, like, I'm sure you might be really close connected with some of your friends. You might be having your cousins or your extended family members, but that one or two friend will be more closer to a brother or a sister also. What's the main reason for that? Because it is you have developed that relation with XYZ person.
Right.
And at the same time, back in those days when these kind of relations were being made, irrespective, one has to,
Bloodline becomes secondary, yeah.
One has to give the sacrifice of her own son. She did it, and which is of a great valor. And which is, I think, these kind of stories is just not about Pannadai. There are lot of great, brave women just not in Rajasthan, in entire India. If you are in Bundi, I would tell you the story of Hadi Rani. If you haven't heard about her, she was the daughter of Bundi, married in Udaipur. Udaipur, not in the main royal house of Udaipur, one of the main nobles of Udaipur, called as Salumbar. Salumbar is a village, and it is the head house of Chundawats. So the Salumbar, they have a title of Rao. So Rao Sahab Salumbar, before going to the war, when he just gotten married, you hope you understand, the moment you get married, you don't want to go in a war or something like that. So, and Hadi Rani was very pretty as well. And the frescoes, if you happen to see, you see the side faces of the women in Bundi. They will always have the sharp nose, big eyes, the jawline and everything. So the beauty aspects of especially women in entire Hadothi region has always been very dominating. So Rao Sahab actually sent one of the, his noble. He said that go to Rani Sahab and tell her to, just to send a small remembrance of her, so that when I'm fighting the war, I'll have that kind of, nowadays, you have a photograph or something like that. So she knew that what track he's on. And if you are not concentrating in the war, you lose your life also, and for Mewar also it wouldn't be good. So she actually beheaded herself, and he said, she actually said to that noble, okay, you want a remembrance? She cut her head and she gave.
My God.
So that's how, the ladies' valor of even in Bundi has come up. Rani Karnavati, after Rani Padmini in Chittor, Rani Karnavati was the second biggest Johar. Karnavati was from Bundi.
These stories.
So there's a story of a daughter married in Jodhpur also. So what she did was she actually closed the gates of the fort, not to, so that the king shouldn't enter. She said, you want to enter, first go and win the war and then come. So like Jhansi ki Rani, all these things, some stories they get very popular, some they don't. But regional wise, if you go, I'm sure you go to Jaipur or Jodhpur or Udaipur, in small pockets, they have their own inspiring stories. The good part now is because there are a lot of aspirants of social media, and people in young age, they've started writing and everything. Now the history is again coming, reviving.
I want to know actually कि Mughals and Rajputs, these both empires have also had a long-standing history of wars, but also holding hands at times. Do you think because अब Mughal empire को बहुत अलग lens से देखा जाता है with changing political scenarios और NCERT में भी there have been some changes. Just from your personal perspective, what was the role of that empire in building in what India is today?
See, everybody has their I would say their significance, their eyes towards any, irrespective, just not the Mughal in the past, like you say Lodi dynasty or during King Ashok, but everybody who came in, they came in, but initially they destroyed everything, right? If you talk about British, I'm sure they gave a lot, but they
destroyed so much.
But 10 times or 100
Can't be
times more
compared.
if they've taken. With regards to Mughal, yes, they might have given a lot, but there are so many things, there are so many wars, there are like thousands or lakhs of lives which went just because of them. So I don't think so. It's like just the good part. It's the both sides, the good and bad, the good and bad and ugly both. But then, like every incident which took place in the history, if you talk about, especially about Mughals, it also was a big impact for the Rajput dynasties also, with regards to their style of fight, the arms and ammunitions they were using. Obviously, when you have somebody who would have a modern weapon than you would also
Want to
get
upgrade,
into the same kind of a scenario, and to develop your skills, and then the kind of cannons and everything. So I would say I'm not a person who would only be into that kind of a situation where you just are talking about the negative aspects. There were some good aspects also, and there were some bad aspects also. But yes, the way Aurangzeb acted, demolishing temples. Now, if you're a king, if today I'm a titular king of Bundi, for me, all the communities are same. Yes, my affection towards my clan will always be there. For the
100%,
Rajputs,
yeah.
it will always be there. But if it's a Jain or if it's a Gujar or it's a Meena community or any people, there lots of communities. For me, everybody is equal. Okay. So at the same time, if you talk about those days, just to demolish the temples for your religious supremacy, there was something very wrong what they did. I can understand there might be some rulers in the Mughals, they might have done some good things also.
Akbar is one such figure that's
See,
had a very...
like I'll tell you, like even Bundi, we had a battle of Ranthambore with Akbar.
Oh.
Again, a history which was there in the books, but for whatever reason, these things are not being taught. Ranthambore at a time was the fort. Ranthambore fort was under Bundi.
Oh.
Ranthambore fort was given to Mughals during the time of Akbar.
Oh.
He couldn't win it. Can
Why
you
was it
imagine?
given to him?
Given as in, it was a treaty.
Oh.
When the war takes place n number of days.
Yeah.
So that was a time when Man Singh ji, he intervened and there was a treaty between Bundi and Mughals that when the Ranthambore fort was handed over, there were a lot of other things which were given to Bundi. In geographical and I would say religious and cultural things, like I'll just tell you a few. Like back in those days, Meena Bazaar used to be there. The women
yes.
were actually being forcefully dragged into Meena Bazaar. Bundi, they said, our women will not go to Meena Bazaar. We were allowed to carry our weapons to the Diwani Khas. No other ruler was allowed that. There were times when our horses or elephants and these things were asked if some war situation was happening. So our animals would always have a signage of Bundi. So Mughals were not allowed to change that. The Nishan, the Nangara, the entire procession was only allowed to a particular place, but when the Maharao Raja of Bundi, when he used to come in, he was allowed to take all these things all the way till the Red Fort.
This was after the Ranthambore?
After the Ranthambore. Okay. Then there were a lot of other parganas which were given to Bundi, and one of the pargana was Banaras. You'll be surprised, in Banaras, Bundi Ghat is there. So, there were a lot of things which were then given in Gram. So, my main thing is that Mughals, they either knew how to win or take the easier path. There were some royal houses, they got their daughters married to Mughals.
Yes.
So I'm not here to justify what was right, what was not. But everything which was being done, it was being done to safeguard the local people, the heritage and the culture. When I got married, obviously, I am living in the modern world. But for few days, if my wife, whenever she used to come in public, even though in front of my own parents, she would have a Ghoonghat. After some days, 10, 15 days or 20, depending. The head of the family, my father, if he sees that, you can, then she wouldn't. But then, covering the head, this is a culture, what one does. In front of elders, if you must have seen most of the Rajput women, they cover their head. Nothing wrong in that. This is our culture. Like for men, we wear turban. That's covering head. Covering head is more of a culture giving a respect to the person. Like I'll give you an example. Like me going to a temple. Me going to a temple, if I'm going like a formal occasion is there, I will always have a safa, a turban on my head. So if I'm going to our Kul Devi's temple,
Yes.
I would have a sword and a safa. That is the culture. This is, if somebody thinks that you being so orthodox, even in today's world, you carrying these things. This is not being just orthodox. This is our
And it's
culture.
also a
and
choice.
if-
Yeah.
choice, and I personally feel if I do not follow it, then who's going to follow it? See,
You will also
there
have
are
to lead by
different religions,
example.
right? In a gurudwara, you're covering head. Why? They are following the culture. You go to a mosque,
Absolutely.
you have to cover your head. Hindu culture is something that it's been always on a liberal side, and like nothing is like really imposed on us. But one has to understand what is important
Right.
and what is not. So here and there, if you are following your culture on traditions like festivals and Diwali, Dashera, supposing you're wearing an Indian outfit and and covering your head, nothing wrong in that. I really appreciate the people who are doing it. And like in a public meeting also, I was fortunate enough. We had a meeting with the Prime Minister at this event, and I was wearing the Bundi Park. There was Kota Izain is also over there. He was wearing his Kota Park. There was Dungarpur. He was wearing his Dungarpur Park. Park is the headgear. So why were all these things made? So that any person who would see you
Can identify.
immediately recognize, okay, nowadays in modern world you wouldn't recognize, okay, this is Mewadi Park or whatever. But back in those days, just by looking at the headgear, one used to get like your entire the clothing, the style of clothing. They knew, okay, he's a Maratha, he's a Rajput, these things. So I feel these things are important, and it's just the way a person looks at it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very important कि आपका caste, culture या religion जो भी हो, you take pride in that, and also if there are some mistakes which you feel कि यार ये थोड़ा सा गलत है, तो you actually try to eradicate them also. So my neighbor was a Rajput, and unfortunately her husband had died. तो उनके बेटे की शादी में she was not able to enter the barat. उनकी बेटे की शादी में
Son's wedding. Okay.
Yeah, son's wedding. She was not able to enter the barat, and apparently it is believed that if your husband dies, you won't go in your son's barat. Like, is that a custom?
I
in Rajput?
think you're mistaken in this. Originally, barat is only meant for men, not the ladies. Barat. So when the barat goes, it is only the men going in the barat, not the ladies. In the today's modern world, and might be different for other castes, but especially in Rajputs, the ladies, the female, the mothers, they always stay back home. They don't go in the barat. Very basic reason, if I tell you, back in those days, in early days, if you just leave the house all empty, again anything can happen, right? It's not safe. Secondly, taking ladies in the barat, because nowadays you have flights, trains, you are hiring cars, buses and all. Back in those days, barat used to take like 10 days, 4 days, 5 days to reach one destination. They used to go on horses, elephants. Okay, ladies, obviously it is next to impossible for them. And then when there are ladies going, the ornaments, jewelry, right? And another very important thing is that when the groom and the bride, they come back home, you need to have somebody to welcome them. Right? If the mother is only there in the barat, then who's going to welcome them in home? So there are like a lot of things, and so that's why ladies originally,
But traditionally not
yeah,
allowed.
traditionally they never used to go in barat.
A very random question came in my mind. Have you ever faced financial crisis in life?
No. See,
Like कभी तो ऐसा हुआ होगा कि थोड़ा
see, I'll tell you. Good question. I was in, as I said, I was in school, Delhi College. Then I went to England for my graduation. Now, irrespective of any house you come from, you always have a budget, like monthly budget. And obviously, in that age where you're just 19, 20, you tend to spend either going out with friends or buying some electronic gadgets and all. So I wouldn't say like financial crisis, but then to maintain my
Expenses,
interest and personal expenses, like I like to travel as well. So for that, like I started a part-time job.
Oh.
So I used to work.
Firstly,
as well.
how much was that budget allowance for a month?
I shouldn't say it's quite personal though. But see, the thing is that as a student, like I was given a particular allowance. That that this our tuition fee, lodging fee, that excluding
That would just take care of
excluding
your
So apart from that, if you have any higher aspirations, either ask once or twice to your father. You can't just keep asking him again and again. Right? So for that, and I personally feel which is very good. Like I'll give you a very small example. I not as a like professional, but I am into photography.
Yes.
Like I do it for my own personal space, right? So on my first paycheck, I bought a Canon camera for myself. So these are the small things. Like I wanted to, supposing for example, want to see a particular club match, football match.
Yeah.
So to travel, I used to stay in Leicester. To travel from there to London for a football match, for the ticket fee and everything.
It
so
would,
it's
yeah.
all a add-on expense, right? In a month or so, it's not like you just going for a one match, like during the Champions League and EPL and everything. You have a lot of matches going on, and I
And
used
you
to
would
play
watch all
cricket
of them?
also. So like any time India coming down to England and especially playing at the Lords and all. So all those things, they incur additional money.
100%.
Right? So then I started a part-time job.
What was that job?
So I started working in a restaurant. Then so this was an event company also. They used to have like Christmas and New Year like parties and
Oh my
all
God.
these things. And but my main later on I joined the Leicester City Football Club. So I happened to be there,
Passion into paycheck.
So for their marketing and all these things.
Interesting.
And then when I went to Canada for my masters, though I was quite old accordingly as compared to doing my graduation. So in overseas, I guess it's a culture to do a part-time job, even though you're starting in high school.
Yeah. Your parents were aware of it?
Yeah. People who are in school also, they either work on campus.
Yes.
A very rare sight
You
in
can't
India.
sustain life there without
Right?
doing it.
So this is a culture, and I feel nothing wrong in that.
Absolutely.
It gives a person self-confidence,
Also humbles you a little, like
and I particularly feel it. Yes, it humbles, and you value money then.
Yeah, right.
So the question what was there, so rather than financial crisis, I understood understood the value of money, and at least it gives you a thrive, a motive.
Right.
If you want to achieve something, okay, you got to work for that. Like in today's world, like in the modern times, a kid, he'll just randomly come and say, okay, I want a PS. The parents, they'll life
You
is
say
very,
you say no to your son?
a lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot.
Like without any reasoning, बस नहीं.
बोलते नहीं करना.
No, not like that. I am a person. There has to be a reason. Like I'm very rational in that, and like something which is right, so okay, ठीक है. But something which is like just out of the box, if you're talking, it's not happening.
What did you study? I'm very curious about that.
Like I did my BA honors, majors in marketing, and then I did my masters in hospitality and tourism.
Oh,
Because
amazing. Perfectly in sync.
हाँ.
Yeah. So like then after my masters, then I was working there only in Canada. I was there on a work permit. Again, it enhanced my the kind of exposure I got, and it enhanced the confidence of talking to any random person. Like it's a lot of times I've noticed not everybody is very comfortable in talking to a stranger, but I believe that's the nature of our hospitality field, that you always encounter a stranger on everyday basis, and one has to be very hospitable and greeting to that person. That's how he would develop his interest in your particular destination. You might have seen a lot of destinations, they are getting a lot of tourists, but then the reviews are not good. Why? Because the local people are not very hospitable with them.
Right.
These little things do matter
Yeah.
a lot. How are you as a parent? If we remove those burdens, responsibilities, legacy, everything, and just look at the relationship of you with your son, because एक तो ये प्रॉब्लम है कि फादर सन का रिलेशनशिप इन एन एवरेज इंडियन हाउस होल्ड बहुत अजीब हो जाता है आफ्टर अ सर्टेन एज. सो what was your experience with your father?
Why do you
Was
think
there-
it's
I've seen this personally
ajeeb or
with-
complicated after
because
certain
I think there's a clash of male ego in the house.
Okay.
Like sometimes when a father is just so used to taking all the responsibilities and then he sees his son growing up, maybe becoming the breadwinner of the family, you see that all the decisions are now his. Yeah, sometimes he doesn't want to lose out on that authority in the family. So this clash comes in. Or in general, I have seen, I don't know, it could be a stereotype, but young sons or sons in general tend to be closer to their mother. They, in terms of emotional, and I think fathers in general are not very, in India, are not very emotionally available for their kids. So
See, I'll tell you something. I think softness and caring and that nature will always be by default in a mother. Even though a mother is strict, by default the manufacturing, the God creation is something like that. A female is always very a kind of a person who intakes everything.
the nurturer.
Yes, good, bad, whatever. I would say if you're talking about politics also, very rare you will find a female politician like firing around, or like the way like in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, if you see, it's mostly the men who would, there are few women also, but the nonsense talks, if I would say, are mostly done by men. No logic. And that's what I would say as a mother, even if the child is doing something wrong, first she would always, safeguard the child.
That's true.
That's there in, just not in humans, it's in animals also. A mother is meant for that. So that characteristic of that lady you cannot change, even though if you talk about big business houses like Ambani's or something like that, It will always be the same. But when it comes to a father, like he and a son, so like what happens is that a son might think that the father is not aware of any good or bad what I've done, but one should always realize that he's already been in your shoes way before.
That's true.
So I do not like encourage of that one should have a different opinion for a father or a mother. I mean, as a parent, they are one unit, but by default, it is their characteristic.
Right.
And but nowadays, times have
It's
really
changing, of
changed.
course.
Nowadays, times have really changed, and I've been very fortunate and lucky that my parents, and especially my father, their attribute and their teachings and their things explaining everything. When it comes to everything, like why do I have to wear this attire for this particular occasion?
Just
It
the
has
space
to-
of questioning.
It has to
things. Yeah.
be explained to the kid.
Yeah.
Why do I need to go to the school? It's just not the mother's responsibility, it's the father's responsibility also.
It's the conversation
Yes.
you are looking
So,
forward to.
I would say if some families, if you feel like, there is a gap between a father and son, it's not just because he's a man, that's why this thing is happening. It can be a lot of other reasons.
Yeah, they're
also.
mostly out earning money, so of course, them not being very physically
but-
present also
but-
is a.
But nowadays, it's
Yeah, nowadays
the-
though it's completely shifting, and
the
I'm so
women
happy
also.
for that change.
Yeah.
It's
But
really
see,
the
at
need
the
of
same
the hour.
time, it's not that who's the bread earner for the house. I particularly feel, irrespective a mother or a father, all these things come into the play. How you are, putting in the values, the culture in the child's head. Like my wife and my son, they based in Jaipur. Again, because of education and all, he's there. Though he's in kindergarten, but he's in Jaipur. So not that he doesn't find me 24 hours available right in front of me, but then anytime when I go there, I have to strike a conversation even with a 5-year-old, come down to his level and talk. Not that I'm talking to a friend of mine or a colleague of mine.
Exactly.
One has to come to the same mindset, and of course giving time to the younger ones. I believe even the young kids today are so much tagged on to technology, which is very, very sad, very wrong. And especially after COVID, there's something wrong with the entire system. They're still continuing work from home.
Yeah.
I don't understand. But this has increased a lot of other things, the heart ailments. Your physical condition is very.
You're just
very
sitting
wrong.
on a desk. Huh?
Like I remember somebody, if talking to me, saying that let's play football, let's play FIFA. So you're talking like football, like proper football on the ground, not on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Today, if suddenly people will be like, कि, आप घर आ जाना, हम
खेलेंगे.
golf खेलेंगे, या FIFA खेलेंगे. You will have a mindset, okay, like proper game, but that ends up on a TV. I
Has this
particularly
happened to
feel
you?
that, yeah, and I'm not at all a person who, especially I'm on the media, but I'm not at all a person who likes to play games
Online.
like online.
Yeah.
No. And there have been incidents in the past where my friends, they've told me, come, we'll teach you. Well, I'm not interested. I would rather play
As
it
simple.
on the field.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I can understand that's just for a moment. But there's something I particularly feel the moment I learn or I get hitched on that particular thing, the technology, and what if I don't want to get back?
Yeah.
So rather, I don't want to get into that system. So I mean, I'm not saying that, I'm not promoting that people shouldn't know how to use all the technology and all, But I feel that, just by your kids, if they are only and only on television,
Yeah.
they tend to talk less to their parents.
Happens.
That vacuum. I'll tell you, I was fortunate enough that I got to spend a lot of time with my grandmother.
Oh.
So my grandmother, she was from Vanshwardhan. Vanshwardhan is a place near Rawatbata that comes under Mewar.
Okay.
So back in those days, like when my grandmother and all, they were young, so it was not mobile and all. They used to read the history and all. They were like legit books, and books like Vansh Bhaskar and these poets and all, like Harivansh Rai Bachchan and all these people. So she used to narrate a lot of history from Mewar side as well, Bundi side as well. So that connection has to happen irrespective your grandparents or your parents. Now today, what the scenario is, a kid, supposing a 15-year-old kid, he wants to know the entire history of the Chauhan clan. What he'll do is he'll go on Google.
That's
I really want to know that if your son doesn't want to carry forward the legacy, because he has been talking about legacy a lot, and he wants to do something different. So what will you say to him?
See, if a person
Vajrab,
very
right?
good. I'm sorry.
Vajrab. The name?
My son's name?
Yeah.
Vajranab Singh.
Vajralam.
Vajranab.
Vajralam.
So, see, if today, it's quite early actually to talk about that. But just for instance, I particularly feel, imposing something irrespective of the age, a kid or an adult, will never benefit. So, if somebody doesn't want to continue anything, explaining that person is of no use, irrespective my son or anybody in that matter. But the role of a father, the role of a parent as one unit, the role of a family as a composite, when I talk about, that is why the system of joint families as compared to nuclear family comes into place. So, like today, if you are not religious, I cannot impose religion on you. But all I can do is I can teach you. I can tell you the importance. And I am 100% sure if it is rightly taught, if it is rightly explained, logically explained, nothing wrong. Why wouldn't somebody want to continue his culture? And the beauty, the irony of the Indian culture, the Rajput culture, I would say, all backgrounds, they have beautiful cultures, irrespective. It is only the disconnection of the modern, Gen Z.
Yeah.
So the disconnection of the Gen Z with the roots and your entire heritage, if by chance that takes place, I do not blame the kids in that. It is their parents.
Right.
And not to be harsh or anything against the parent. It's like it is from the day one how you teach and how you make the young person
The
understand.
foundation, yeah.
See, it's basically when a child is born, because when I became a father, I don't read like too much books, but then I go through a lot of e-journals. So at one particular age, like I would say around 5-6 years, that the mind of a kid, it is something where howsoever whatever information you
Absolutely.
can pump it in, you should do it in those initial, if not 5, 6, 7 years, because that is the kind of information that the kid will always carry forward. A lot of times you might have seen people saying नहीं अभी छोटा है फिर बाद में देख. That is something very
Mistake.
wrong as a parent. I personally feel nothing. I don't want to be against people. The way they guide and they bring up their kids, but irrespective, even if it's 3 years, wrong is wrong and right is right. There is no middle way. Like capital punishment, I'm against that. I do not prefer that. But you have to come on the same mental level with a kid and make him understand. And I don't think so any kid is being born which will not understand if you actually get onto his same lingo. They will, 100% they will. Because that's my own personal experience. And now I can say it in a better, I understand it in a better way.
Yes.
Because I myself am a father. So I can understand how things
Now all
do
those
work.
dialogues of जब तुम बाप बनोगे तब तुम्हें समझ आएगा, that comes real.
Yes, it is there. But then it is something very important, and I think people should understand that. For what actually, I'll just something very important. Like, why does a person living in a foreign land come down to India? If supposing if today, like I'm asking you now, what do you think?
Sir, a lot of curiosity. Really want to revive with
Basically,
the roots again. Yeah.
it is, and something which they do not have there in their country.
Yeah.
A basic thing. Like they would have, they also have forts and palaces over there. Their technology and everything is
It's
very,
immaculate,
I wouldn't say like better than India, but good in their own sense. But when you talk about culture, you talk about values, the family values and all these things, and that is how our history came in.
Right.
Any monument you see, it has a story. It was not like a king was getting bored, so he made this palace or this stepway, right? Everything which was being constructed, at least in those days, it had a logic and a story. Very important, a story. You'll be surprised. Why was Umaid Bhavan built? Do you know that? Jodhpur. Jodhpur, they occurred a big famine that time. And the people, they did not had any work. Maharaja of Jodhpur, he created a job opportunity. Like even now, the government, the same thing. The government is doing the same thing. Why, like supposing the new Lok Sabha is being built, or you talk about a small building in a town like Bundi also.
Yeah.
It is
Creating job
generating
opportunities.
income.
Yes.
Right? So I'm saying, see, this thinking in our
Goes
ancestors
back.
back in those days only.
Absolutely.
So like Rani Ji ki Baudi in Bundi,
हाँ जी.
the main stepwell,
हाँ.
it had a story. The Rani Sahab over here, she said that anybody who's coming from my native side, where will they drink water? Where will they rest? Where will they bathe? She built a Baudi. Irrespective of the beautiful architecture and everything is there.
There's
But
a cause.
Yes, there's a cause for it. There's a reason why it was being built. So that's what I say, that if anything you tell somebody that okay, you should stand when an elder comes, it has a logic, it has a reason. If you tell that person this is the reason you have to do it, automatically you will do it in the very next.
So, like every stone has a story. That is like a perfect way to wind up this conversation for us. This could be like a step for us also to uncover the legacy, the history of India, भारत, जो शायद हम लोगों को मतलब इसी सोर्स से पता चल सकती है, बिकॉज आपने आई विटनेसेस के थ्रू सुना है, आपने उन लोगों से सुना है जो एक्चुअली वहाँ पर प्रेजेंट थे या फिर उनका कोई प्रेजेंट था. तो होपफुली ये सिर्फ हमारा फर्स्ट कॉन्वर्जेशन नहीं है, आगे भी हम करते रहेंगे. एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर टाइम
It was a
सर.
pleasure.
थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank
दिस
you so
वॉज
much.
ट्रूली आई ओपनिंग.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
थैंक यू.